Now I gotta.
Thank you.
So you hear that? Okay. Well, we'll start over. Thank you everyone for coming to our first Parks Advisory Commission meeting. June 1, 2026. I'm Cynthia McNabb. I'm the city administrator. By Robert's rules, I can convene the meeting tonight. And then once we put in chair and a co-chair, that person will, either of those people will convene all future meetings. So at that, I will call the meeting to order at 6:02. And our council meetings always start with the flag salute. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Certainly. Commissioner Cassidy.
Here.
Commissioner Dennison.
Here.
Commissioner Squiani. Commissioner Garcia.
Here.
Commissioner Hummel.
Here.
Commissioner Messerby. Commissioner Nagupi. Sorry, can you say out loud?
Yes. Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Cowan. I think it's this person. Commissioner Youngblood.
Here.
And Commissioner Spugnani.
Absolutely.
All right, well, we have quorum. So quorum for these meetings is five people. So as long as we have 5 people at our meetings, we can hold the meeting. If at any meeting we have less than 5 commissioners, we would have to cancel the meeting because we cannot adopt an agenda without quorum. So we can talk, socialize a little bit, but for the most part, we tend to cancel meetings if we don't have quorum. Just to keep on the right side of the Open Public Meetings Act. Okay, with that, our next item of business is to adopt the agenda. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda? So anybody can say so moved. I have a second. Second. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And with that, our agenda for the June 1st meeting is adopted. Next we go to any comments from the audience. If unlikely the first meeting we would have any public comment. You may at some point as we get into different topics, whether it's items from the Parks, Trails and Open Space Commission, some other park amenities or other work that you're doing, we may get comments from the audience. So just to briefly go over the rules for comments from the audience, they would come up to the podium. If they're speaking for themselves, they have 3 minutes. If they're speaking for an organization, 5. I imagine at some point through the work of this body, you'll hear from mountain bike groups, other interest groups that might come to give comments to inform some of your decision making. So I expect, you might have a meeting or 2 with public comment. The other thing about public comment that's a little odd and is really feels, I think for some people, somewhat anti-democratic is the body doesn't respond to public comment. So folks come, they give public comment and you all just kind of have to sit and listen without commenting back. It's kind of awkward sometimes, especially if the question is easily answered, because it feels like not interactive, not responsive. And if you know the answer and you can easily say, oh, well, we're doing that next week. But the rules are we kind of just accept the comment and don't respond. We can add it to the agenda if the commission wants to talk about what happened during public comment. We can add that as an agenda item, but during public comment, kind of just stay quiet, if that makes sense. So, yeah, happy to answer any questions.
I wasn't sure if we're
this is conversational first meeting. Yeah.
So I mean, if they do have a question, later on, does it get answered? Do they leave their email address, or does it just float into?
All of the above.
Okay.
So we have a sign-up sheet in the front where they can leave their email address. And so if we get public comment, whether it's this commission, council, planning commission, if they have a public comment where they have a question that's specific, so the open hours of parks, We would then, if they've left an email, just go back and respond to their question. City staff would just take that, we keep notes and minutes. If it's an item that is more. You do one of two things. A commissioner can ask, make a point of order and ask that that item be added under new business to the agenda, which is not on this agenda. But if you get something that's really interesting and you think it's important to talk about that night, raise your hand, move to amend the agenda. We'll put it on the agenda, have the discussion as an agenda item. Or
with them here.
they can stay.
Uh-huh.
And, at the conclusion of public comment, if you want to amend the agenda to add the item, they would hear that. You should have the discussion during the meeting. Alternatively, typically we can talk about how agendas get set. At the conclusion, during good of the order, a commissioner can ask, hey, that was really interesting. I want to talk about that. Can we please put it on the next agenda? And then we can put it on the next agenda. If it's something that we think the person who gave public comment would want to hear, clerk, myself, Steve will reach out to them and say, hey, the item that you brought forward in June, that's going to be on the agenda in July if you'd like to come back. So that's typically how we do it. Any more questions about public comment? We tend to know if we think we're going to get a lot of public comment. So if we expect that we're going to get 100 people, this building obviously cannot entertain 100 people. So in the almost 4 years I've been here, we've only once moved it to the school district building for public comment where we knew we're going to get a lot of people. So we typically know a couple weeks in advance if we're going to get an agenda item where that would be an issue. I can't imagine if you would have that. Although we did have a planning commission that last year that had a lot of public comment. We exceeded the capacity of the room. Let us hope that, I don't know, maybe it's a good thing. You hear from the community. So it might be an occasion where we move the meeting to the school district, but that would be extraordinarily rare.
I don't know that we would post public hearing at this body either, though.
No, that would just be
We may
like,
host an open house.
yeah, or where we know we have a lot of public comment, but not here.
If we run into somebody who wants to talk to us about this topic, ask them to show up here.
Yeah, so if somebody has, they find out you're on the Parks Commission and they say, hey, I'd really like to talk about this thing that I'm passionate about, ask them to come give public comment. That tells you that there's somebody in the community that's interested in that topic. And then we either talk about it that night or we put it on the next agenda. If one of you makes a motion to say, hey, I would like to talk about it that night, staff will raise our hand and let you know if we're prepared to help you with that conversation. Some things require research. So we will let you know, like, hey, can we put it on next month's agenda because we want to come back and have information that's helpful to you all.
Would you prefer they share that information with a staff member? Like if you get that information in advance?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing we ask the council members to do, so our meetings with council are on Tuesday. They get their packet on Thursday afternoons. They have all weekend. We ask our council members to let staff know Monday if they have any questions or anticipate something. So we have Monday afternoon and Tuesday morning to prep for something that might come up that night at council. So if you know something's coming, just let Steve or I or John know. Because we might be able to prepare in advance before public comment.
That makes sense.
Okay, well, moving on, staff introductions is our first item of business. I'm Cynthia McNabb, I'm the city administrator. I work for the mayor and then the departments all roll up to me and then I roll up to the mayor. I'm here to help facilitate meetings. I'll try to be at most of them and do research for the commission, help guide if there's a project, help get it off the ground. I will be your point of contact for creating any budget requests so that we can roll them up into the budget, and just here to help facilitate.
And then do all of you know the two different types of council, mayor forms of government in the state of Washington? So there's only two. There's a city administrator, strong mayor, where there's an elected mayor and an elected body of 7 council, or there's a city manager form of government where you have 7 council and they vote amongst themselves for a figurehead mayor, and then they have a city manager. So Cynthia's role is city administrator, not city manager. They look a lot the same, other than the mayor is administrative council, right? Policy makers, and they are separate bodies, but by state definition. So little fun fact. Local government Washington state.
It'll come up occasionally, where the mayor has kind of, through me, operational control of the city, and city council is the fiduciary agent of the city. So some things are firmly in the mayor's bucket, and council doesn't really have a role, which is a little different than council manager form of government. And then other times we'll defer and say, hey, we would have to take that to council. If it has a budget implication, all of those items must go to council because the mayor is not the fiduciary agent of the city. So in our form of government, they're fairly split between fiduciary and policy, and then operational.
Well, a good way to put it is Carnation has the council, city manager form of government, whereas we have the strong mayor. It's the one I can think of.
Low, yeah, close by.
Yeah.
So in that, which I don't envy her, my counterpart in Carnation reports equally to the 7 council members, though most of their interactions is with the appointed mayor. But she has meetings with each one of the council members. I have one meeting, well, I have multiple meetings with the mayor, but organized meeting with the mayor once a week, and an organized meeting with the mayor pro tem. I do not meet with all 7 council members every week. I will if they ask, but I don't tend to.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is John Botero. I'm the city clerk. You might have read some very incessantly long emails from me. I do apologize about that. I hope they were somewhat useful. Part of what I do is I'm also the parliamentarian for the council. So any questions related to procedure, Robert's rules, all of that very fun stuff for which you have a book in front of you. Anything, please don't hesitate. I'm more than happy to walk you through any of that. I also deal with council in that the city clerk's office, we prepare the agendas as well as the packet for council meetings, just as I did for this meeting. And we also process any of the decisions that are taken during meetings. So say, for example, the day after council, there's a bunch of stuff that was taken action on. The city clerk's office is in charge of making sure that those things get executed. We also manage our municipal code. So we have to keep updating it as those changes become adopted by council. And again, I reiterate, any questions at all whatsoever, please don't hesitate. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Questions about your email, storing records. Heaven forbid you get a public records request, it may happen. That'll go to John.
And then I am Steve Lenishevsky, Public Works Director. We'll go over more of like how the city operates relative to parks and public works. So we're all one department. We don't have a specific parks department. So small agency, we do a lot of things with few people and try to do our best. I've been around since 2001 in one capacity or another, took a few years away and then back. So I live in town, raise kids in town, coaches in town. So it's usually pretty good because I usually know what's going on and try to be helpful. It is a nice community. We have a lot of amenities and everybody likes to expand them, and we have formed some good partnerships here. So it's a good place to be. This is new to us, as we kind of explained in everybody's interview with they pretty much had the same question for us as Pat. But it is new to the city. We're excited to kind of get going on some new energy around the parks and outdoor activities for the community as we are growing. Almost double since I started out here. So lots of fun and exciting things and some great amenities to showcase. So I look forward to work with you guys on helping us do that.
All right, next up is, I did not participate in all of your interviews and you didn't participate in each other's interviews. So introducing yourself and maybe what prompted you to apply.
There's a couple prompts there.
Well, so, okay, good. Steve helpfully got that started. Okay, how long have you been? Oh, in Duvall? Yep. Okay.
Before around, because you don't have
Yeah.
to be in the city to be a
Right.
commissioner, but. Just gonna go in order.
Yeah, we'll start here.
I'll go. I'm Sarah Cassidy with my new plaque. I'm really honored about that. I'm sincerely excited about having a Parks Commission. I just was like jumping at the chance when I saw that was being offered, and I'm really excited to work all together. I've been here since 1999. I've been working. Luke, my husband, and I started Oxbow Farm, and we raised it for 17 years. And at some point during that time, we moved out here. And then left in 2015, and we have our own smaller farm now called Hearth Farm, and we run the Grange next door, and we shuttle all that produce into the Grange and some pigs. And so I have had a lot of experience creating gardens, public gardens, in my prior employment at Seattle Hill and Edmonds Community College, and I love connecting humans and plants. if there are so disparate too. So that's where my passion lies, and I can't wait to try that out with you all.
Love that. My name's Paige Dennison. I have lived in Duvall about 30 years. We raised our children here and they've been launched since then. And I've been involved in other city volunteer things in the past. And then after our children went off to college, I just delved into my job more. And so I've been largely absent and working and continue to do that nationally around physical activity and health promotion. So that's really my connection and interest in the position. It's because I love Duvall, and I love working in healthy communities. I mean, that's what I do for a living, but also next to the roles that I've had in Duvall in the past. I think that open spaces and parks are essential for strong, healthy communities. So that's kind of my interest in the position. So.
Thank you. My name is Chandan Vishpanyani, and I completed exactly 4 years today in the city. I moved here, I think, a day before the Duvall day. That we were still like, my wife was unpacking boxes and I was with my kids unpacking the Duvall days. And I visited the city about previous summer, that like 2021 summer, for I think kids UPIC activity, and just stop by and see greenery. So I went to McCormick Park. I like the park. I like the people that meet each other with their names. So that sold me the city. So instead of looking to buy a house, this was kind of a done deal for me. I think Duvall is the place to go. So that's why I kind of came there. So I enjoy it. Of course, as a parent, I have lived in Europe, India, and here been working for 22 years almost in different cities, countries. So I enjoyed open spaces, parks, and I think with the kids, I want to invest more into the parks and community. So what's the better way than just do it yourself and become part of it? So that's what me is.
My name is Sebastian Garcia. Moved here about 6 years ago. We were in Woodinville for a while. We've been in Washington, me and my wife, for about 15 years. Originally from Southern California. We had our two kids here. I have a 6-year-old boy and a 9-year-old girl. And mostly, doing this for them. I want to get involved. We have a bunch of friends out here. We love this town. We're super involved in the community. My wife's super involved on the chamber, things like that. Like we want to just be, it's my time to give back. I haven't done anything like this, so it's totally new to me. But I want to make sure they have a good city to live in. It's already great, but what more can we do for the kids that are going to be here for the next 15 years, right? And professionally, I'm a land surveyor, so I'm naturally like interested in land parcels and things like that. And I'm really bummed out that I missed the last meeting because I watched it and you guys were talking about short plats and things like that. I was like trying to answer on the screen, like, no. But yeah.
Oh, there's more of that to come this year, so.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Hi, my name's Haley Hummel. I was born and raised in Duvall. So I went to Eagle Rock Multi-Age way back in the day, Duvall Cedar Crest grad in 2019. And I went to UW for public health. And I majored in public health, and there I really realized that I have a really strong passion for engaging with communities and creating meaningful opportunities for people to get involved. And that's kind of led me to different jobs around Washington State, like Pike Place, farmers markets. But what I really realized over the past few months is that there truly isn't a place like home. And I feel like every time I go somewhere else after a couple of days, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go home now. So I just love Duvall so much. And I especially want to create opportunities for everybody to get involved in our parks in meaningful ways, whether that's, the kids of our community, our future generations, senior citizens, maybe those who don't have a lot of outdoor experiences or opportunities. Yeah, that's what draws me here. I'm really excited about it, and I'm excited to work with all of you. It seems like we have a really diverse backgrounds. We all bring really unique experiences and expertise. So it's an honor to work with you all.
I'm Steve Youngblood. I'm working on my 3rd year in Duvall. Moved from Mill Creek a while ago. Almost ended up in an apartment, but at the last minute, the realtor said there's a house in Duvall. You might want to look at it, so I'm here. I was with the city of Kalamazoo Parks and Recreation for about 20 years. So it's in my blood. And then after that, I was with a nonprofit for a while. I just, when I saw the notice, all of your ideas too and thoughts, I just want to do more for this area, this community. It's what I adopted. So I'm looking forward to working with all of you. All of you.
Misty, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Misty Ho'opi'i, and I'm excited to get to play a part in this. Nice to see Sarah again and some familiar faces from around town also. I have always been in the Northwest. I grew up in Monroe, lived in Redmond for quite a few times, quite a few years, and then moved here about 3 years ago. Very happy to be living in Duvall and love this community. I was participating in the Future Planning Commission, and one of the things that I was most interested in was outdoor spaces and the parks. And when this opportunity came up, chatted with my husband to make sure that he would support me taking on another interest. And so I'm excited to join. I actually spent a lot of time in Duvall because I work from home, 75% of the time, 25% of the time I'm on the road traveling. So it's talk about coming home. There's nothing better than coming home and coming home to Duvall and being able to be outside and enjoy the spaces that we have. And I'm just really looking forward to participating and helping our community grow and grow in a positive way that helps support, those outdoor spaces and respecting, kind of that nature and human interaction, which I think you can gain so much energy from. So really excited to join and see everybody. Sorry, I'm not there in person. I actually have a work meeting right after this, and time was just a little tight. So next time, hopefully I'll make it down.
Thank you.
Commissioner Town, would you like to go? you'd need to unmute yourself.
Well, we look forward to meeting, is it Town?
Yeah,
Okay,
my town,
Commissioner Town, and hopefully our next meeting.
and then Amelia. I don't, well, we didn't hear from her.
No,
Is Amelia online too?
no, she's not.
Okay.
on
No, no.
All right. Well, this is the time where the first big decision is made. So at this point, you can self-nominate or nominate someone else, which you can decline if somebody else nominates you. If you would like to be the chair, we'll start with the chair of the commission, which is kind of to do what I'm doing right now, facilitate the meetings. When city staff have to plan the agenda, we'll often reach out to the chair if we don't already have things that are on the agenda. This is a good time to also let you know, staff will facilitate the agenda. So, you know, definitely bring things that you want on the agenda, but we'll also create some action items so that, you know, you don't walk into nothing on the agenda. We have a list of things that, you know, we would like the commission work on. You'll hear more about that tonight. So if you're the chair, don't worry that you have to create the agenda all on your own. Staff will definitely help you. Same if you want to nominate yourself or others for the vice chair. So with that, do we have any nominations to chair the Parks Advisory Commission?
One at a time.
Maybe we can nominate someone who's not here.
You can try that.
That's what you get for it.
Yeah.
I promise it's low effort.
Mike just met.
Yeah.
Yes, we could try to unmute him.
He was unmuted. Says talking permitted.
Let's
Let's see.
No, we-
Now I asked to unmute. Yeah, you should be allowed.
Yeah.
You should be able to.
Well, we sprung this on you. So
He's in. We can kind of hear you, Mike.
So we can add this to the agenda for next week. That's odd. It feels like going to Star Wars.
Yeah.
Right? So everyone can order
He unmuted.
this, and I will continue to facilitate the meeting or chair the meeting. And then how about at our July meeting, we take this back up.
Right, yeah.
Try it again?
Mhm.
What do you think? Okay, all right.
That's how much time typically, like,
I mean, at this point, the commission meets once a month, so it's, you know, we definitely want either the chair or the vice chair to be at the meeting. And then otherwise, I'm reflecting, because at the beginning, this is going to probably operate very closely to the cultural commission when we convene the cultural commission. So that convened, we had a body of work we wanted them to start with, you know, fairly promptly. And so the first year, you know, I would say the chair maybe spent per month 5 hours, and that was busy. The first year of the cultural commission, because we had to create a biennial art plan that that aligned with the budget. So, and it'll be something similar to this Parks Commission too. We will adopt the work plan, and in the case of the cultural commission, their art plan. We adopt that at the same time as the budget, because if they have anything that has budgetary implications, which they do, like paint a new mural, you know, we need to budget for it. So we adopt their art plan with budget. And so that first year was creating an art plan, presenting it to council, getting the budget for it. From 25 and 26, the meetings, I mean, maybe the chair spends 2 hours a month, because now we're just working through And staff are doing the bulk of that work. So, we're collecting the call for artists, we're putting them together, showing them to council, they vote. I would say the chair of the cultural commission in a busy month, maybe 5 hours.
And is this for the whole 5 years or is it like 1 year, do
Yeah.
you switch? Or is it-
Oh, yeah, they switch every year.
Okay.
Yeah, they vote for a new chair and a co-chair every year. And they switch because Councilmember Hernandez, who's our newest city council member, was the chair of the cultural commission, which prompted us to get a new chair this year. So we'll table this. That's our first agenda item for the next meeting.
Do you need any more Robert's Rules notes? Nicole?
So for Robert's Rules, you all have the book. John has sent some links. We have these cheat sheets for you. City council meetings, we try to be fairly formal, in a Duvall way. For our city council meetings, we certainly, and definitely not with commission, any of our commissions, will be adhere, super strongly to everything that's on this cheat sheet. We all kind of learn Robert's Rules together, offering each other a lot of grace, points of order and, the big mistakes, on this thing, it's a big mistake, speaking twice in a row. That's really easy to do. So we try to use Robert's Rules as a construct for our meetings, but I wouldn't get overly worked up about following this to the T. Cultural Commission is just one giant conversation where we try to overlay Robert's Rules. John, is there anything more? Should I have said more? Formal? Parliamentarian.
I don't think that I didn't hear that, but.
He's not here what happens to the cultural.
No,
commission.
I think the most important one is the one person speaks and then everybody else has the opportunity before they can speak. That way everybody's voice is heard. I know council procedures has a limit of time. I know also that some of the advisory groups don't necessarily adhere to that. That is up to the body to, whether or not to enforce that really. Quorum is for this group is 5. So if I think Cynthia mentioned earlier, if there are 5 or less, if there are less than 5, there cannot be a meeting because an agenda cannot be adopted. One of the other things that you will have starting the next meeting is the approval of the meeting minutes. So that will be part of the packet. Someone will make a motion and it doesn't need to be anything official. It can just say so move, someone seconds, vote all yay or nay, and that's it. It's either adopted or it's not. Let's see, what else am I missing? I would suggest part of your packet on that binder is the council procedures. Council is way more formal. So obviously you're gonna read some stuff there that will not apply to you. It's just one of those things that as meetings start happening throughout the rest of the year, you'll see what actually might apply to you and what may not. And this body can also adopt its own rules if it so chooses. But that's another issue for another day, and I'll leave it at that.
Question on process. So if we have, let's say 6 and the chair and vice chair are out, how does that mean they get
So they would, whoever is present would have to appoint someone who would chair that meeting, just that meeting. And that person will be in charge of chairing that meeting. So if the chair and co-chair are not there, ideally the chair or the vice chair rather would ask someone to chair it, and then that person can come and say, hey, I spoke to the chair and they asked me to chair the meeting. Does anybody have any objections? No? Okay, then you can proceed. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good rhyme. So in your council packet, just working through the first few things, You have the council procedures. You know, if you are so inclined, you can read through them. We have them here just so you can see the general rules. But you don't have to adhere strictly to what's here. There are a couple things, so interacting with staff and that we call it the no surprise rule, you know, when we said, well, if you could let us know before the meeting, if you have a question that would require us to do some research. Those rules are part of the council procedures of notifying staff so that in the middle of meetings, we're not surprised by something wholly unexpected. That doesn't come up often. Certainly not in the cultural commission or the planning commission. But so some of those rules on interacting with staff, city attorney are in here. So at your leisure, take a look at them. The next item is your the chapter of the municipal code that authorizes the Parks Advisory Commission. I worked on this recently to adopt new rules so that we could update them. It's a very short section of our municipal code, just talks about when we're gonna have the meeting, how many members we'll have, the general organization of the rules, and then the duties of the Parks Advisory Commission. It's a very short code section, but that is kind of your legal framework for the work you do in the Parks Commission. And then with that, I'll pause. I don't know, Steve, are you gonna talk about the facility, field and facility thing at all? Okay.
If I may, just for one quick second, in the future, if you would, let's say you lose the binder, can't find it, if you go to our website, and then once you're on our website, you go to government agendas and minutes. If you click there, scroll down to Parks Advisory Commission, you're gonna find all the agendas for all the meetings, and that will include links to the packet. So for example, the binder, if you click here, you're gonna have everything that's on that binder so that if you lose it, didn't really lose it, you just have it there.
Or don't want to read the paper.
Or don't want to read the paper.
Yeah.
The soft copy.
Yeah. There one time to get paper probably from us. We are trying to go largely electronic, so we do not print. So some cities still, for their city councils, the city council member sits down and they have a stack this big of paper. We don't do that. We're all electronic for our city council meetings.
Yes.
And then the other things you'll find in your binder, just real quick, we'll finish out, is the facility and field rental policy. We're doing minor revisions to this right now. Won't change tremendously. We are adding some rules with regard to the snack shack. Is that a big?
And then I think some of the other internal
Yeah,
reservations.
some
Reservations, yeah.
yeah.
So this, I think, of what is relevant for you all will be the rules around field scheduling. As we work on Big Rock, think about expanding it, you get questions about how teams are prioritized at Big Rock. That's all in here. The facilities, which is kind of part of our Parks and Rec program, is also how you rent this building, how you rent the depot building, the depot park, the fire pit, that's all in here. Our parks, this year, we've gotten a lot of requests for renting of the entire park, particularly this park.
What
is 2 Moons?
Log park.
Yeah.
Everybody got a different name, right?
Yeah. Folks wanting to do birthday parties, we do not reserve any of our park shelters. They're first come, first serve. This year, explosion of, can I have a whole park for a birthday party? Can I put bounce houses up there? Our insurer says no. Unless it's independently insured. The city will not insure. So we might at some point look again at this policy. That might be work of this commission to think about, you know, our rules around usage of parks meeting room. So that's this. And then finally, we did it 2 pages. First sheet is the Parks, Trails, and Open Space Plan. And I'll leave it to Steve to describe that document in a little more detail.
You will probably like the online copy for reviewing that. There are some large tables when it comes to the capital improvement program list, some maps and images, but the Parks, Trails, and Open Space Plan is like the city's roadmap for its Parks, Trails, and Open Space Network. That was just rerun through in 2024. And I think, is there any hands? How many people were involved in it?
Yeah,
Paige, Misty, were you on the PTOS? Yeah. There's a couple of votes. I don't know if Amelia was yet, but so yeah, it's a little bit of familiarity there. They were part of another group like this that was more informal but called to serve on that specific documents kind of creation. It existed, but updating and kind of its origination to where it is now. So we are obligated to do that every so often via comprehensive plan for 10 years, and then most other elements within that follow shortly thereafter.
One thing to know about this plan is that this is the city's source of truth for grants. So if a project is not in this plan, it is very hard for the city to go out for a grant for it. So this is our roadmap, and when we go out for grants, so for a period of time, because our Parks, Trails, and Open Space Plan was outdated, there were grant opportunities that we couldn't go out for because we didn't have a newly adopted plan. Now moving forward, we have a plan, but there are limitations to the plan. If a new project comes in that hasn't been included here as a community priority, the city will. It's not that we can't go out for a grant, but our opportunities are really limited if it is not included as a priority project in this plan. So we will certainly hear about projects that the community is interested in. The first question that I would hope you all ask is in the plan?
Yeah, it's a comprehensive document. There's a lot of information. It's not perfect, or not everybody gets what they want. Family household, some kids want this, some kids want that, and again, something a little different, but close there too. But yeah, it's always interesting working with the community on plans because you want to try to make everybody happy. And everything in this is planning level too, as far as construction estimates and build costs. So there are numbers in there, but they're not fully baked by any means. So.
Yeah, it's certainly easier to go to the soft version online. The sticker cost of some of these projects might surprise you. They do. Yeah.
The one thing that we sent out some surveys to people, and I think that we get a lot of input from community also. When we were building this, if I remember correctly, there was a big survey.
Yeah, I think one of the pages talks about the community outreach that occurred, or one of the chapters.
Yeah, a lot of survey information.
I think this was the most highly responded to survey in the city's history, actually.
Yeah. Not many people care about other things, but boy, if you're about parks, and yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Where do most of your grants come from?
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. I'm going to turn it over to Steve now because he has the whole slide deck.
So that's kind of your book. Any other questions on what's in there?
Yeah, just like any sort of like anything that we have heard since then from the community, which is not. Do we already know if there is something that needs to be?
Yes. I'm just going to. I am as we work together, I'm a fairly direct and candid person. So I am anticipating one of our council members or one of our commission members will bring forward the group that is working on the pool. So Paige, you might know over the course of 30 years of living in the Duvall area, there have been groups that have wanted to bring a pool to Duvall. So we've worked, let's see, I've met with the Snoqualmie, what are they? Snoqualmie Foothills.
Snoqualmie Foothills Community Collaborative.
Community Collaborative. So I've met with them 3 or 4 times to kind of walk them through what a construction project of a pool would entail from the very, very beginning. You know, if you're interested in doing this work, you would have to start a nonprofit because you have to get money to do this work. Because, spoiler alert, a pool is not in the Parks and Trails and Open Space Plan. Then, you know, once you have a piece of land selected, you know, you have to have money to do the environmental assessment of that land. You know, can you put a pool there? Most of the area around Duvall is highly encroached with wetlands, and so putting a pool on any of our open property here would be a challenge. So, you know, roughly the environmental assessment, working with our tribal partners on, you know, the cultural assessment. So, you know, before we build, we, you know, do a cultural and historical survey to make sure that there's nothing that is, you know, kind of important to our tribal partners. So that kind of environmental assessment of the land is, you know, a good chunk of money before you can figure out whether or not a pool is a suitable place on a particular piece of land. And then, you know, working with some of my municipal partners over the last 4 years in understanding the cost of a pool, you know, early entry of a pool complex, 20 million to 50 million in terms of a project. And then, you know, you need to ask, you know, what the ongoing operational costs are. So I did suggest to them, like, you know, reach out to the Boys and Girls Club, the Y, and some of them are other, you know, partners who would potentially be interested. So the answer to the question is yes, we do know that there's a project that's not in the open space plan that the community, members of the community are very engaged in. And so I anticipate that this group will have some collaboration with that group.
The pool is part of open spaces because of it's in general it's considered same across the cities, or is this sort of like a parallel thing which is like overlapping with expectations from community to be part of the parks and spaces plan?
I think so. As you read the open space plan, there is mentioned that during the survey, and we see this with every city survey, I could be asking, what band do you want at Summer Stage? And I'm going to get back, build a pool. So I think every single survey that I've had in the city in the last 4 years. And so I absolutely understand that. And I would love to have a pool here too. So there were some survey responses as the PTOS plan was being developed that asked for a pool. Ultimately, though, between the work of the consultant, the subcommittee, city council, and the planning commission, a pool was not identified as one of the priority projects for the city.
But it is under the scope of parks and open spaces, but I would understand.
I mean, it's
Yeah, it would be involved in a parks and recreation program. Yeah, there's no other place in the city other than here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Did that answer the question?
Yeah, so like what is the first thing people are expecting and we don't have already in the plan? So
A pool.
I'll
Bike park. I'll throw a mountain bike park, so.
because I was a lot of people who did respond about the pool. Having two kids and taking them every week to Redmond or Control is not easy.
I mean, I have not tried to go to the YMCA pool in Monroe. I understand it's quite busy, or you're going up to Redmond. So I mean, it is absolutely true that we do not have a lot of that kind of amenity here.
Because there is some private pool that is picking up a lot of attention these days.
I have heard, actually, yes. Yes.
Thank you.
And then I think, so on that note, we'll dive into just kind of the operational side of Public Works and Parks. And it should be kind of quick. I don't want to go too deep here. And then we'll work on some of the long range discussion / what we're going to do for work planning and then wrap up from there. But so we can move to the next slide, Sean. So as I said, Public Works is housed, Parks is housed in Public Works. Public Works itself is 28 staff members. There's an engineering side of the house. So paperwork side, design, capital program elements, development management, our own project management and deployment. We do run many lines of business. So we have parks, but we have facilities, drinking water, wastewater, and wastewater treatment, as well as streets and stormwater. So a lot goes on in the city. The green is the engineering side of the house. There's 9 of us, not including myself. The wastewater itself is 4, and then the rest of the operational staff, there's only 14, does all the things in the field for everything citywide. Of that, we have the kind of center area there, which is parks itself. Each line of business has a crew lead in the field, and then some subordinate staff between 1s, 2s, and 3s. I wrote plus up there for 20 plus because we are fortunate to get interns and summer seasonal maintenance support citywide. So next slide. Parks itself has 4.2 people. We're all kind of chopped up and put back into a bucket together. So 5% of me works for Parks, right? And 95% somewhere else. So there's some of that, but physically in the field, the operational crew, there's 4 crew members and then many other people who help, but again, 2/10 of a person in one way, shape, or form. We're all kind of cut that way. Parks operations itself has about a $740,000 annual budget. 70% of that is staff. Another 6% of that is insurance by itself. So the insurance bill is about just under $50,000 a year to cover our carry for parks, which is, you may have heard Cynthia say, well, parks doesn't, our insurance carrier doesn't allow it. They are fairly strict. They're fairly responsive to our needs. But again, they do advise a lot of things that we have to make decisions on.
And we get audited on every year.
Yeah, so there is a level of risk we have to assess fairly consistently and constantly. Big Rock itself has its own fund in the city budget, so it's a different bucket of money specific to parks, but for that field property because it has its own line of revenue. So 1.1 people work for the parks. Again, 0.25 of me, even less, works for parks. But again, there is a person, but then lots of bits of other people because you will see groups of 2 and 4 working in spots. And again, it's all part of math that we have to do. Is a big exercise, but it's kind of the staff members. Next slide. So parks themselves, we have almost 240 acres of land. Not all of it is maintained on a daily basis. 29 acres of it is what we would consider maintained regularly, whether mowing, weed eating, inspecting. We do have to inspect our parks on a routine and regular basis. Repairing for breaks, planning for activities, responding to complaints, comments, deficiencies, kids dig holes, like things pop up all the time. So there's always some small amount of fires put out on a weekly basis. But in general, just managing the parks is definitely a full-time endeavor. We are growing. Our parks are big, much bigger than they were when I started. They seem to be very highly liked. And I think we can see that they're very heavily used too. So all good things to have. Part of the PTLS and the parks plan, we just call it by acronym PTLS, Parks, Trails, and Open Space. The PTLS itself has a lot of great real data that is current 2024. So, when Cynthia was saying council handles the financial part of what we asked for and then how it gets deployed and then we manage it administratively. They ask us, well, how do we compare to other agencies? So there's a lot of good statistics in there. Like we run very efficient parks groups on dollars spent per FTE. It's very high ratios. So all good there. Our annual operating costs are much higher in the reverse. So much more effective than most places. We are smaller, but again, we don't have a giant, King County Marymore Park. So it is all relative. But again, great information in the plan itself. So,
can I ask a question now? Sure. This data is 2023, then you have 2024 data, but a lot of people have moved in the last year and a half. So do we have some?
As far as we have in the PTLS, it's 2024. Yeah. When you roll up a new budget we do a budget every 2 years. So we're working on a budget this summer for the next 2 years ahead. So we will have refreshed data in that, but that will be the newest data we need.
Yeah, and I think will we have any projections on following house is being built?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We
do that every year too.
Yeah, and we do that even on the half year, but mid-buy we call it. The budget year of 27 and 28 will be adopted formally by council because we do a 2-year budget. But later in 27, we will kind of do checks and balances for coming into 28, and we'll look at forecasting. And the development team. We're housed at the wastewater treatment plant and the rebuilt offices down the way. So community development is with us. And one thing I didn't know, we're 61 employees citywide, 14 police, city admin's 5, finance is 5, and community development is 6. So we work in the same office with community development engineering. So a lot of that is very collaborative, forecasting down to the housing unit on an annual
Yeah.
basis. So we're pretty tight on the information we do get to give.
And between 24 and now, the city it feels like the city has grown a ton. But by population, the population change was only roughly 500 or so, because we had basically peaked at 24. 25, the population changed a little. It'll be curious at the end of 26, because some homes have now been, brought online, so we might see a slight increase. But that giant peak that we had in 22, 23 is slowly coming down.
Yeah, and what you see in the field too, like when you see houses going up, those have been in process for normally about 4 years between someone wants to build a neighborhood and then someone finally builds a house. But that's pretty fast for your timeline. So
When does it get counted when a house?
You do demographics at the same time, like age.
we don't do census level information.
We did for the comp plan. So you won't necessarily see it in the Parks, Trails, and Open Space Plan, but this was part of a comprehensive planning period where we did, along with PTOS, we did the housing element, land use, economic development. What else is in there that I'm missing? Transportation. There were like 6 or 7 elements. Yeah, as part of the total comp plan, and we did demographics as part of the larger planning effort.
The schools does that though too, right? They do the demographics that determine school population.
And the school impact fee. Yeah, they do it every year too.
Thank you.
Next slide. So the amenities, you're all in town or around town, but boat launch, dog park, field, baseball fields, 2 fixed structure restrooms, pickleball, tennis, basketball courts, picnic areas, and playgrounds. So 14 parks that are in town. Some of the little pocket parks aren't ours; they're just part of the subdivision. But that's just kind of. Again, this is a great bubble table out of the plan that you can see like what each park's amenity are, which I think we've talked about too, but in conversations in the interview process, like how do we get people to know that you go here, there, or this or that, for this thing, that thing, and the other. So a lot of good information there. So hopefully some of the work plan stuff will be us digesting things and figuring out how to get it out to the world a little more effectively. Next slide, that's just a graphical image again out of the park plan itself. Of where all of our parks are. It's kind of nice to see that we do have parks scattered mostly through town. The trails are on a different map, so there's other trails that kind of link things up when you look at it this way. But it's not like it's all in one area, so that's kind of the goal. Have it sprinkled and spread everywhere. Next slide. This is the table. I don't expect you to see this on the screen, but that is the actual capital improvement program for the Parks Department. It is more easily read, soft screen, and zoom in. But it goes through all different types of parks themselves, groupings, master plans, parks, specific trail improvements, park improvements, renovations. They're all kind of lumped into those different categories as you go through. So yes, and like Cynthia said, you can't read it on the screen there, but the granddaddy of them all at the bottom is about 72 mil. Yeah, a lot of millions of dollars for parks if you were to build them all on the list.
70s.
Yeah, that one's 72, but on the far right is the whole spread with some aggregation of time. So next slide. So grants. This was pretty interesting. Not that people don't care about sewer, water, storm, but they're much more interested in streets and parks. So this was just the last 5-year look back. So 2022 to 2026, we did about 3.9 million in parks work, and 2.2 was grant fed. So that's 57% of what we have done in the last 5 years has been supplemented with someone's grant. The grant agencies are normally county level style agencies. King County Parks, they have their own line of grants. There's a lot of specialty interest groups like the King County. What we have.
Youth and amateur sports.
Yeah, then you have the Wyra, the conservation, King County Conservation is involved. Water resource inventory area, Wyra. They are involved. They don't pay specific things, but they always participate somehow when there's things to each of those programs. Whatever aligns with their goals, like we usually try to get as many resources as we can. Not that a whole park is going to be conservation based, but a significant portion of like Big Rock Park, a lot of that expenditure in the last 5 years was 2.3 million for property around the existing Big Rock Park. So we aggregated, we had 1 10-acre parcel, we bought another, and then through the Conservation Futures Program, we bought 3 more parcels totaling 15 more acres. So Big Rock itself, when it's done, is going to be 35 acres. With the Conservation Futures, you don't develop the land. Its goal is conservation. You can develop about 15%, but we will have trails sprinkled all throughout, loop trails, connecting trails, overlooks, and anything and everything we can incorporate. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes now. Just like a developer, we're a little slower. You know, if you have a 5-year process from purchase to build, ours is usually a little slower because we have to find
We have to find the money.
public dollars to then build, you know, $10+ million.
So do you have an end date in mind? Are you?
For Big Rock?
Yeah.
I mean, we have targets without goals, we'll get nothing.
Okay,
So
yeah.
we're hoping to begin construction in 2027 sometime.
Okay,
But we're not there on funding yet.
yeah.
There are options. We routinely don't borrow money at the city.
Mhm.
Not that that's a good thing or a bad thing, it's just a thing. So sometimes there is reasonable time to borrow money, sometimes not. But with the existing ball field facility that you see up there, that was built in 2017. We did borrow money for that. And then that was paid back with funds. I think it's paid off in
I think it's paid
now
off.
or 2020. One just paid off.
Main Street
Main
was
Street
paid
just
off
paid off.
2028.
Yeah.
We pay off the bond for.
Yeah,
Big Rock.
so it'll be probably perfect timing to roll that off and roll a new one on and
Yeah.
get going. And we have our own capital set aside, but not enough for a whole park, but
Yeah.
the intent is there. And we're always going for more grants. The State Recreation Conservation Office, they are capped at $1.5 million, I think, for capital, but again, that's better than zero. So
What about foundations?
foundations are tough. We've just recently started getting involved with King County Parks Directors, and believe it or not, the Seattle Parks Foundation funds parks outside Seattle. So there are some groups that do provide support outside of maybe what you might think they are, but there are a couple of WWF, Wildlife Federation or something. They have a bucket of money too, and a lot of it is matching too. So you bring a little, they bring a little more, and those times you get there. So yeah, we're always turning over every rock for every buck we can find.
The insurance coverage had a grant as well as project contract, or like, did somebody give grants just for insurance? How do I read that?
The depot.
09.
Oh, Depot, yeah, that was an insurance loss, pipe broke.
Mhm.
So we had to refinish all the flooring in the building. Worked out well. It looks very nice compared to what. If you haven't seen it, you can know it.
One thing we find with grants, and this is something we'll talk about as we look at our work plan or potential work plan for the first, year or so of this mission. Duvall tends to, from just a traditional way you look at demographics, it tends to score very low with some of the King County grants from an equity and social justice perspective. So most of the King County grants are funneled through their ESJ kind of review first before they prioritize projects. So to what degree is your project benefiting the community from economic diversity, racial diversity, or other forms of social justice? And so Duvall tends to score extremely low. And so we might have the best project from an operational perspective, but from the King County's grant review perspective, Duvall doesn't rank extraordinarily high. And so one of the things we're doing, and it's part of our King County legislative priorities and will inform some of the work of this group, is helping to advocate to rethink what equitable access to park facilities means. And it also, from our point of view, can be geographical disbursement of parks facilities. So the city of Duvall, we have a nice park system, but our park system benefits a lot of unincorporated King County. And people in Duvall would have to travel quite a ways to get to other parks amenities that we don't have here. So we're trying to kind of change the conversation about what access means. And it isn't always access from traditional demographic perspective. It can also be geographical access.
Is there resident, non-resident fees?
Yes.
They're not, I mean, they're in your folder. They're not greatly differentiated, but they are differentiated. That's good. Next slide is.
Oh, okay, perfect. So Steve and I took a little bit of time to just think about some potential projects for a work plan for this group. And the city council is also simultaneously doing some advocacy work with King County. And here are the things that we're looking at advocating at a council level with King County, but I think it's also probably important work for this group, which is we have some county amenities near us that are not well funded or well activated compared to how King County funds their own parks in other cities and jurisdictions. And so what we would like to do is ask King County to invest more in Duvall. So the first one is Duvall Park. Any thoughts about Duvall Park?
It was in my interview discussion also. I said like our kids had soccer practice there, or like parents and they will sort of like get hurt with like uneven ground and it's not even well.
And Duvall Park is the one that is just south of the city limits.
Yeah.
It's right across from the Seattle Public Utility Building. It's the one field with the parking lot. To me here in the roundabout.
Some know it as a swamp pit.
Mostly used for dogs.
Yeah.
Right
I've never been there, but like it just seems like it's always empty, and you can tell from the road it doesn't look easily walkable.
So King County has not invested in that park in.
One. And some of our staff, there used to be two fields there. There was one below, there was one above. There was actually a baseball diamond sand infield. The backstops are still there, but everything is just kind of left. They mow it once in a while, and they used to strike it for soccer and baseball.
Yeah, it seems like a great opportunity. Another place, and maybe so close to the trail. I don't know if there's an opportunity for it to have access to the trail, but that would be really cool. And put some 5Ks there. You can start there, like meet there with all that open area.
And also like Jane was also like I don't know, physical equipment also next to the train. Is it with this part or?
They have a net, a lacrosse / soccer net out there. I speak lacrosse for my son, you speak soccer. Yeah.
That was like unmaintained, but like kind of good use which kids have.
It can. There are not a lot of features, right? There's no power, there's no water. That's what they've always said. Like, no, we can't really keep it up because we don't have.
Would they be interested in seeding it to us?
We've talked about that in the past, but again, with the amount of resources we have to maintain what we have, adding another to the list is.
Yeah, unless they wanted to give us a check for ongoing maintenance for it, yeah.
Or some sort of trade-off, but,
Yeah.
But again.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I think this group could really help inform is if there was a trade-off, right? If we're going to take that park, operate it, activate it, what will they invest in for us to take it off their hands? Could that be build our ball field at Big Rock?
Yeah. I mean, it's derelict. Is it? I mean, the idea would be to bring it back to soccer, lacrosse status.
So what the mayor and I are working on, we've had initial conversations with it's called DNRP, the Department of Natural Resources and Parks. Yeah. And the mayor and I are meeting with them on June 12th to begin a conversation. again, going back to, I tend to be candid and direct. Communication between myself and their lead has been candid and direct about the fact that they have not invested in this park and just have, you know, and I use kind of the Snoqualmie Valley as my barometer. So you go to Carnation, however many, how is it, 8 miles, 10 miles down the road? And their park that is adjacent to the Snoqualmie Valley Trail is a county park. It has a picnic shelter. It has a disc golf. They maintain that. If you go further up the trail, the King County parks in Snoqualmie are beautiful. You have North Bend, it's an entire complex, partially run by King County. And so as you go up into northeast King County, and you know where the trail branches off into Duvall, it's as though they have forgotten that they have amenities out here other than occasionally mowing. And so what I would like to do as part of the commission's work is ask the community. King County gave me their 2021 study of the park to say, oh, we can't do anything, even though they used to do stuff there because it's so encouraged. We have some expertise here that says it's not as encouraged as King County says it is, and they can add amenities.
Encroached meaning
There's
more
wetlands.
wetlands
Yeah.
than,
But if you look at the map,
Yeah.
they can do more there. So trying to ask our community to tell King County, we would like you to invest in this way. These are the amenities we want to see for you, to maintain that park and give us equal investment that you do other cities in King County.
Well, I mean, operationally speaking, we don't like it as it's kept now because we're guilty by association, right?
Right.
People call us like, hey, you guys, your park is garbage, do anything down there.
Called Duvall
Most of our parks
Yeah.
are.
Duvall Park.
You know,
Yeah.
change our
Yeah.
park.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we look bad in that lens, like, well, no, it's not ours, we're outside the city, please call King County, thank you for calling, but like, we are guilty by association fairly consistently and take all the complaints like that, so. But yeah, to Cynthia's point, like getting them to invest a more equitable share valley-wide would be pretty easy, right? They dump a lot of money into other parks.
Yeah.
Full McDonald Park is a great
Oh,
park.
that's
They got a woodbridge over the river, they got campgrounds,
Yeah.
they have a giant barn that you can host events at, like.
Yeah,
that's a nice
music
park, right?
Right. Well, and that's the other thing from an economic development perspective, we're losing out by not having the county invest in some of these premier parks that they do, just down the road.
Literally everywhere else.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so interesting. Well, I like your idea of making a deal, like, why don't we take this over and, make it more of a wetlands area, and then they could actually give us money for.
Invest in something here. I mean, if it's true, and I don't know to what degree we agree with their environmental assessment. The environmental assessment group that they use, we use often too.
Mhm.
I think their interpretation of how encouraged it is maybe is not ours. But I mean, if that's true, you can still create meaningful recreation opportunities in an encouraged park beyond what they have going
Is there a sign up there that it's run by the county?
on.
Oh, there is. I didn't.
Not a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it says in smaller letters, King County.
Yeah.
They need to advertise that more so that all the park is.
Here's the phone number to call.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be wise for us to invest in a sign there about that.
So it's not us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the second thing, again, from an advocacy perspective, and so how that works is we're looking to get community feedback. For us to then take to King County to say, not demand, that's probably too strong of a word, but here's our expectations and this is what we'd like to see. And we have Councilmember Perry is supposed to represent Duvall. And so just asking the people that are, meant to represent us to, advocate on our behalf. Which brings us to the Snoqualmie Valley Trail. So earlier last year, I worked on a subcommittee that documented every amenity from Duvall to North Bend, or I guess up all the way to Rattlesnake, correct? And so I was responsible from Duvall to Revlinger, cataloging every sign, every place to stop, every parking lot, anything that happened on the trail. And from here to 203, that crossing, there's almost nothing. When you get to Carnation, there's a county park, there's signage. Starting in July, there are now these, I don't know if anybody did the art fair, the art on the trail.
Yes.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Beautiful.
It was gorgeous.
So good.
Well, they're doing it also in North Bend. So they've activated all the segments and then left ours largely fallow. And so we would like to ask them, activate our side too, because there's a lot of economic development opportunity when you have this, trail system that has far more amenities than what we have now.
Activation means.
They put stuff on it.
Do something.
Do something.
Yeah.
And that could be help us build McCormick Park. If you've invested in the trail adjacent or the park adjacent to the trail in Carnation, invest in our park that's adjacent to our trail too.
Well, and the city has invested tons, like trail is not ours, right? It runs through our town. It is 100-foot right of way.
Yeah. They
Own, operate, and maintain the trail, which was over railroad grade, right? So it's there. The parking lot isn't theirs. They participated in none of the development of the depot bathroom, the depot itself, the parking lot of the depot. They did do the park and ride, but that was transportation and metro. I don't believe it had anything to do with the trail itself. But again, like we have this King County asset in your town, and they don't participate at all.
Is it the same way McDonald Park is? Does King County own that, or does Carnation own? Okay,
King
so
County.
that's a little bit different.
Yeah, but
And
there's
that's-
another part I heard which is not owned by King County, but they did invest in cars, you correctly mentioned before the Old McDonald.
Tolman Dolan Park is a King County park.
But there was this other.
And then there's another park that's adjacent to the trail, Nicholas's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
And they have a
Frisbee
big-
golf.
Yeah, they have frisbee golf, a big
Yeah.
park.
Is that not a King County park?
That's a King County park as well.
Yeah, I think the Boy Scouts or something. Then,
Yeah, we took Cub Scouts to the
the
frisbee
frisbee
golf.
golf or
Frisbee golf.
something, if I remember. So, just a question, is that because Carnation's considered rural? I mean, when we look at, I work a lot with older adults, so we look at things that, Snow Valley Senior Center is eligible for that, our Seattle, like senior centers and such are not.
Mhm.
So they're eligible for lots of, because they're seen as an underserved rural population. So I just wonder if that's sort of the delineation of that part of the trail and.
So these unincorporated areas are also underserved rural, according to the King County map.
Carnation's just as old as Duvall, right? They were a year after us, Carnation itself became a city.
Yeah.
We're over 100 years old, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's looked at different, I think it gets back to your, sorry, Sarah, I think it gets back to your social justice comments and how it's looked at from an equitable standpoint.
Yeah, no, the unincorporated King County that surrounds Duvall is rural, categorized as rural by the county. And then the other advocacy work is just greater investment in funding to Duvall for parks that support unincorporated King County. Because most of the folks that live north of us and even, going into Woodinville and Redmond will come down here for parks and recreation. So Duvall, from a financial perspective, is supporting a lot of King County residents who are not paying into our park system. So that's some of the other advocacy work that we're working on. And then working to better communicate and activate Little Big Rock Park. So that is, at one point it was the smallest, I think now it's the second smallest park in the state, the one that's right in front of Safeway.
With the 2 sequoias.
Love it.
Yeah.
I saw people climbing on the rock today.
Did you?
Yeah.
Good.
Being used.
So kind of thinking about what to do with that park. So having this commission help us think about how to make that park appealing and attractive and used. We have a concession policy. We have a concession stand at Big Rock that is almost never used.
Little League committed to this spring, they're using it Saturday.
Oh, good.
First time on a consistent basis. I haven't had a report of how well it's serving the teams, but
They're always open when we play
we're good.
Oh, good.
on the weekends and stuff.
Yeah.
I've heard some of their bags of chips maybe have been left over from last year or something, like, but it's being used, like, got a couple stale ones. I forgot to take it out. But it's being used.
Okay. And then different volunteer groups, we've certainly got requests for groups that want to volunteer, but we need a way to organize them around noxious weed, remediation, beautification of parks, that kind of thing.
So there are volunteers wanting to help, but it's not an organized group. Got it.
We don't have any organized volunteer groups at this point. And then working with us in our PTOS plan, parks are prioritized, but we also know that some folks are getting a little antsy to have their projects prioritized quickly. So one is the open space mountain bike park. That is part of the plan. So we do have that as part of the plan. But how to prioritize that, potentially get grants for it so we can fast track that project. And then if you haven't been out yet, but do so safely, McCormick lost a lot of shoreline in the floods this year. And so I think, did we file that grant? Did it get filed?
One's due Friday, but then have them tomorrow. Then we're meeting with class next Tuesday. And then
Meeting who?
Federal Emergency Management Association agency. So yeah, it was a declared emergency, so FEMA will be involved now.
Finally.
We may have some support there.
Yeah.
And then we applied or are applying this week for a county grant for shoreline management. Or what is that grant? Is it shoreline management?
Just to protect it from further eroding?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
to reestablish it and keep it from getting worse.
So the project to just kind of put logs and enforce that bit of shoreline next to McCormick Park is, what was the price tag on that?
We're looking over a mill two right now. Just a very, very preliminary estimate. So Kwame just did some work on a similar project, a little more expansive. Their estimate was about 5 million and it came in at 3.2. Good news. But yeah, shore stabilization, bank work, logs, rocks, that kind of thing, salmon friendly. But we don't want to lose any more of our own land, right? It's a well-used park. It's only getting smaller because every time the river comes up, it takes more shore of it. But,
You just get some beavers to move in.
yeah.
Right.
Then they do it themselves.
Yeah, for Duvall Days, we walked the park with the Duvall Days organizers. And just in case you all don't know, the city supports Duvall Days, but Duvall Days is its own nonprofit. And the placement of some of the activities for Duvall Days has had to be kind of moved back because the area where the zip line usually goes is in the river. So we lost a good amount of bank. So that's part of it, but also we would like to try to work on a master plan. Well, we would have to grant fund this. We don't have the budget for it. But at some point we need a master plan for McCormick Park. I mean, it works for Duvall Days, it works for Summer Stage, but I mean, it's just a beautiful piece of property and trying to figure out how to environmentally friendly plan for that park so that it becomes just more of a jewel in our park system than it is now. And then, as I mentioned, the Snoqualmie Valley or Snoqualmie Foothills, it's okay. We mentioned them, you know, talking to them about what their interests are, how we can support. Yeah.
Native restoration potentials, what does that look like? I mean, can you apply for, getting a native restoration, in the understory of, McCormick Park?
We do that now.
Okay.
So we work with Snoqualmie Watershed Group, or Snoqualmie Valley. There's so many
Yeah, fish farm,
partnerships.
flood.
But they have planted in the last 2 years, they're close to over 6,000 live stakes and other small
Okay.
evergreen, some deciduous because that grows quicker, and then the evergreen can kind of mature up through that with some support by deciduous plants. So yeah, we can, we won't talk about, packet items, like we can do an overview of parks in specific. If you look at McCormick from the air, you can see the years of planting. Usually the 100 feet between the shore and is all planted, so it is growing, and they do come back and maintain it for 5 years. Keep the canary grass down and let those trees establish. But then you do get your little swimming friends in to be where they're coming to eat. They like it, and you got to work. Yeah, so we do that. We do that, and our stormwater group works more hand in hand with that actual dedicated staff member to stormwater. And we have a lot of federal obligations, so we are working a lot with those experts to help plant and then restore areas. More for stormwater management, but everything is always through a creek or a stream, which is great too to restore adjacent.
So then the next set of things will be an assessment of our current and planned future events. We are planning a Duvall Carnation bike event for May of 2027. We don't know exactly what that looks like yet, but some large event to support biking between the two cities. For May
On the trail?
On the trail.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
We tested it, kind of piloted it during the Sunflower Festival, where we advertised that you could pick up a bike in Duvall or Carnation and ride back and forth just to see if it worked. From a bike rental perspective, and it can work. If we had a group come and drop bikes here in Duvall for rent, and then you could return them once you went through the valley. So, but looking at all the events that we hold in our parks, are they meeting our needs? Is there a need that is unmet so far with our current slate of events? And then likewise with park programming, what needs do we have for toddlers, teens, active seniors, programming to get residents out in nature? And then these were the ideas that we generated from the interviews. So develop a mission statement. You have a little bit of that, definitely not a mission statement. But if you look at the code section that authorizes the Parks Commission, you'll see kind of what the overall jurisdiction of this group is, and that is in see what section is that, the second one. It's 2.16040, and that gives the duties of the Parks Advisory Commission, which can help inform a mission statement. And then park tours and meetups, adding benches, food trucks or Piazza Thursdays, and updating park related maps and features with user rating, easy, moderate, difficult.
I don't know how it got out. I had a cold call today from a park bench manufacturer that is a sustainable bench because it is made of old airline propellers. Or something to that effect. So I didn't get to listen to the voice all the way, but I saw I couldn't name much.
Did you?
That's the AI must have been coding.
For the for the agenda.
Certainly worked out to her advantage. There's a lot of interesting stuff out there.
So what we're talking about here, all these work plan discussions, is this what we're voting on, or these are like just ideas for us to come up with to talk about for the next?
Yeah, so these are ideas. It's not necessarily your work plan. We're not giving you your work plan, but these are things that we came up with on work to get you all started, but certainly you all have your passions and interests. And so as we get to good of the order, we definitely want to hear those. And what we can do is add to this and then have you all kind of vote and think about the work that you want to take on as part of the commission. These are just the ideas Steve and I had, and the mayor. We got that down with the mayor too and said, okay, we have a new Parks Commission. And she's like, I need their voices to tell King County what we want. I agree, so. But yeah, these are just some of it. I don't know if we have any more slides from the city. Yeah.
Just wanted to understand, I think it's back to that 4-hour video replay of how to attend the meetings and what not to do. If we can't meet beyond this meeting, so how does it like then plan and organize for what the next agenda is and kind of. I think there is something you can't have more than X number of people meet outside it. So how do we think, work, connect and still not connect?
Yeah. So thank you for bringing that up. So couple quick tips. If I send an email or Steve or John send an email to say, hey, here is the slide deck with the work plan ideas. Let us know what you think so we can help build next meeting's agenda. Respond back to city staff. Do not respond to all, because otherwise you just created a meeting that wasn't noticed. So you can't email back and forth to each other. You can only email with the city. Yeah, to staff. And then we'll get back to you. If we start seeing a trend, we'll send another email to say, hey, 5 of you have said you're really interested in this, but we won't name who, because we're also not allowed to, I can't hold a meeting and say, Sarah told me to tell Paige to tell Sebastian, because that also is a rolling meeting. So the best rule of thumb is to communicate with staff, and then if we start seeing a trend or something we think all of you will know, we'll send an email back out. But don't respond to each other.
Just practically, like how do then other commissions then discuss and plan? Is just like reserve a period to discuss here is what we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Your meetings for public meetings or your discussions and all decisions have to be made in an open public meeting that was noticed with at least 24 hours, but preferably 3 days.
Yeah.
Notice.
We try to give at least 10, but I mean, if we're short on time, at least just a few days. So
for the public to have an opportunity to show up.
Mm-hmm. Now, if all of a sudden 7 of you say, okay, monthly isn't enough, we want to have another meeting, we'll send out an email survey or a form to say, what is your availability for another meeting? And we can facilitate a second meeting or something special. We just have to notice it. Yeah.
And those always have to be public too. Like it can't be, we can all just meet at Starbucks real quick and discuss this idea or something.
They have to be noticed to the public so that anybody from the public can drop in on if there are 5 or more of you. So if 4 of you want to meet, so at some point with a 9-person commission, we may want to do subcommittees. But the subcommittees can only have 4 people. You all can meet at Starbucks. That's fine. We tend to, though, want to still for subcommittees, we still have to notice the subcommittee on Parks Current meets regularly at Starbucks at 10 o'clock on Friday. We don't notice those all the time, but we do tell the public, like, the subcommittee meets on this day.
and one important thing, so when communicating anything related to commission, please use your city issued email rather than personal. The reason for that is if we get a public records request, it's easier for us to look into your city issued email. I don't have to bug you. I just let you know that there is a request and what I'm grabbing. But if there's something on your personal email address, that's a different issue. So for everything, if you don't mind, please using your city issued email. I would greatly appreciate it. It saves me a big headache.
And you a big headache too. Because if you use personal phones or emails for public communication, they can start asking for access to your personal cell phone, your personal email accounts. You don't want a forensic audit of your.
How does that work? You know, in the video, like, do you just give them what they ask for and you sign an affidavit that this is true, or do you have to like give up your phone and then electronically look through it to make sure you're not lying, right?
It's a little bit of both. So when we've had requests for personal cell phone data, we have asked the person to go through their email, and then sign an affidavit that said I did a thorough and complete search and found one text message. However, the person can come back and say, I don't believe you, and then can ask for an inspection.
There's a court case that kind of rules that process. It's called Nissen versus Pierce County. And it delineates everything that there is to know about that. And I would also point out two really good resources. There is something called MRSC, the Municipal Research, can never remember. I'm really bad at abbreviation.
Research something council.
Yes, MRSC.org.
Yeah.
They have a ton of great information, not only about stuff related to Robert's rules and all that. Very, very exciting material, but there's also stuff about meetings and about parks and a whole bunch of other stuff. And AWC is also awcnet.org, I think it is. Also has a bunch of really good information. That's the Association of Washington Cities.
Yeah, under Ask MRSD, there's how do I preserve my document? All sorts of things.
Municipal Research and Services Center.
There you go. And if you ever need to use, like, if you forget what was discussed during this meeting, these will be on YouTube. So you can look at them starting the next day. They'll be available.
What was the other resource you have?
I'm sorry.
Is it there are two resources?
Yes.
Don, do
yes.
you want to share your screen? Like pull it up.
Yeah, of course. So one of them is MRC. So one of them is this one, MRC. There we go. So it has a bunch of information, not just related to like Open Public Meetings Act, just there's everything about everything. It's an excellent site for research. And for information about all sorts of different topics related to local governments. And there's also.
Well, he said, so they sometimes tend to aggregate information. So if we as staff are interested in seeing the field rental schedule policy of any agency in the state, like we can start here. Sometimes you can contact them too. If they don't have it, they can get it. And most things are out there on the internet, but they are big pot of information for
Yeah, in fact, I think I actually went to MRSC and typed in Parks Commission, and they said, here are 7 cities with the Parks Commission and their rules.
Wow.
And there's also the Association of Washington Cities. That one is wacities.org.
And so our final order of business is good of the order. So this is an opportunity for commissioners to, for instance, say, hey, for the next meeting, I would like X, Y, and Z on the agenda. I heard from a community member that didn't come for public comment, but really wants us to consider this thing. And so this is just an opportunity for commissioners to add final thoughts or plan for the next meeting at the conclusion of the meeting. So with that, is there any good of the order?
I'm just going by what I heard from some of the community members. So one, in general, I think I saw there a good pickleball court and other list, but how well are they maintained? For example, some of the people who are using the tennis court or pickleball court near the Cherry Valley, I think they celebrate the surface is so like just like breaks and uneven, so if they like walk, it's get hurt and they could get hurt as well. So like what is the condition and what is the maintenance schedule? Are we maintaining it? Do we have funds to maintain it? I think that would be one good thing to discuss. Like whatever facility we have, how good, in what shape they are.
Yeah, we can prepare that information. give us
There are any
initial-
complaints already from people, like do people know, wait, like it's a, people call you, but like do they have any, like have they reached out with anything? Because I just started from some of them, but I don't know if there's any already known thing in the place that maybe it's already in the works, but we can just inform the community back.
Well, one thing that we might be able to do is for each park, show the park, talk a little bit about the maintenance, known issues of the park, and just do a park by park presentation, so you all have a slightly deeper understanding of each park in the city and what our known problems are, what are the problems that we know but are hard to fix, things that are on the schedule to be fixed. Would that help?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Of the things mentioned, is there been a priority of what you had discussed earlier brought to us? Is there something on there that you would like us to talk about right away?
Yeah, the staff level being sensitive to a new group too, like a lot of comments came about like how do we activate spaces and we don't have volunteer groups, are we the first pseudo volunteer group? Are we interested in doing host a park the first Thursday of the month or something? Or so I mean go to the order like item like that, like hey, are we wanting to do something physically somewhere else outside of a meeting? Yes or no? Doesn't have to be all of us. Be one of us, but again, some staff support kind of thing to get some of the ideas moving. Like we're not opposed, but we don't want to abuse volunteers. So I don't know.
I mean, I think that's a great idea. That was one thing that like, I mean, I think we kind of discussed that, like, seems like what I thought we would be doing, just getting out into the public and talking to them. So
and that can be one of your core mission items. Like you want to do something on a monthly basis. Be that simple.
I mean,
We can be more detailed too.
from my perspective, hosting something, at one of the parks or at Duvall Park as a way to like get the community down there, walk that park, see how they feel about it. That might be one of the first ways to say we're a new Parks Commission, we're your contact, and one of the first things we're gonna do is start looking at the parks and how you all feel about them. I think from the mayor's perspective, is in terms of a priority would be to start gathering community feedback so that we can go to the new executive as he's King County executive as he's choosing leadership for these departments, creating work plans for the departments under his new kind of leadership structure. How do we start getting Duvall's voice more heard at the county level? That's certainly from the mayor's perspective, one of her priorities. Yeah.
One thing, just given the fact that we have kind of a natural forum for quite a few residents with the farmers market right now, if there's any opportunity, I know there is a booth there that's I don't know if there's an opportunity for us to have somebody representing the parks group to be sitting there and kind of like you said, talking about the parks, making sure that people are aware. One of the things that I actually did before this meeting, last weekend was my husband and I pulled up all the parks and we looked around like, okay, what parks have I been to? Because I walk a lot, and there were quite a few parks that I just hadn't walked all the way to, or I remember seeing that. I didn't realize that was actually a park. It was in a neighborhood. So I think awareness of the parks is definitely something, and maybe having some type of flyer or a QR code that people could scan just to get that engagement potentially. And then obviously we've got lots of feedback from the surveys. As you said, people are very engaged, but that might be an additional way to get the word out. And then exactly go to the parks and give your feedback, go to the park. And let us know what you think of Jude Park when you go there next, something like that. Just an idea of having a natural place where we might have a chance to interact with people would be the farmers market.
We have 2 dates for the farmers market. So the city will have a booth on July 2nd and August 6th. And so when we go, we try to bring as many people and as much information as possible, so that when people stop by the city booth, they have lots of different things that they can interact with. So for instance, I'll be there asking some questions about the next projects for the biennial art plan, some budget questions. Community development will be there with our building official asking about information the community needs on how do I build a fence, how do I build a deck. So they'll be there. So if we had parks there too, that would be great.
I think that'd be
Uh,
awesome.
I think for the same point, I think I was thinking about moving on, but maybe just too short for us now. If we can get some sort of like way to people that place the QR code to explore the parks, but then somewhere we can say, you have a suggestion or something, we have a commission now, so leave it. Like, do we have something like this already going for other things in city? Will it be okay to kind of start something? So we want to start only for Facebook page or something, but at least somewhere we can make it easy for people to just leave a short comment or something or a suggestion.
Yeah, please no more Facebook pages. But yeah, so it might be a little short for Duvall days. But we have a city booth at every summer stage. Where we leave flyers and information at summer stage too. And not this last summer, the summer before at the summer stage concerts. We also did tell us what kind of art you want, and we use the data from the summer stage concerts. We had these postcards and we had dot exercises. People would stop at the city booth. And we use that data to choose the themes for the 2 new murals. So it's pretty effective.
But for the good of the order, I mean, can we say like, let's continue discussing a volunteer, approach? This just so we have something official down, because I think we can come up with a good plan. Because we're not supposed to be discussing it right now, technically. Right?
Good
Yeah.
for the idea, not specific.
Yeah.
Is one of the ways for the outreach, potentially the insert that comes with the utility bill about Duvall, that also has.
That's all I think I got to know about this commission being formed, so I just read that insert and.
Is it possible to connect with the realtors that when they sell a house here, that they give the residents or the buyers some information about the parks?
Well, there's actually,
Or is there something already done?
yeah, so part of the chamber of commerce, my wife's on the chamber of commerce, so what they do is, they give out these like free goodie bags. It's actually a really big sack with, all the people that are involved in the, in the chamber. They, give discounts or like, just little things to advertise for their business, so that maybe we can add a little insert there, because that goes like, I hope my wife delivered those. Sometimes nobody's even in the house yet. Somebody's like,
I
keeping a house or something. But
both the team was super helpful as a team convert to the
Right.
city. Did a full chamber of commerce directory with all the festivals and then a lot of like discount for the local businesses. So this could be a know your city pass, a small flyer which goes with it, and then just scan a QR code to
Back to the parks.
and then scan a QR code to leave any suggestions for something like.
that's how I got my first red pepper pizza. I got.
I think that's too when we moved here.
I didn't get one of those bags.
I have to talk about that. Yeah. I'll talk to someone.
All right, well, I think we have some things for our next meeting in July, which will be.
It's at the bottom of the agenda, July 6th.
July 6th, perfect. Thank you, Don. Any other good of the order before we wrap up? Okay, chair and vice chair on next meeting's agenda.
Somebody else has to use the gavel.
And with that, we are adjourned at 7:50. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks.
everyone. Look forward to working with you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Look forward to seeing you, Misty.
Sorry, Mike, if you can put your.
It's not.